I love that song. It's such a happy song. Puts me in a great mood. I don't know about you, but anyway, good morning. Hello there. How are you doing? So great to have you here. Mm. If this is your first time to catch me live on a broadcast, thank you very much for just taking a few minutes to say hi. Kick back for a few minutes. There's so much content out there on the internet, but my name is Ronee. And by trade, I am an editor. I'm a writing coach. I help people get their books published. I help them become better writers, stronger writers, great storytellers. But on the weekends, I'm here to just share some time with you. So pull up a chair, grab a mug, or if you have a beverage with you, or wherever you are, mm, pull up a chair for a minute. We're going to sit and catch up and see how things are going and talk about some fun things. I'm going to share some stories with you. Um, and then we're going to talk about making stories because I think a lot of times people get overwhelmed with how to start writing or how to start talking about stories, but you are living a story every day. You are living out a chapter or a scene or a moment in your story that if you really paid attention to cataloging it, you'd be surprised how many stories you actually have to share. So, one of the ways that I like to share stories is with my mug of the day. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I have a pretty extensive coffee cup collection. Oh, and then I have my kitty that's coming. So, he'll hear my voice here soon and come in here. But what I do have is my coffee cup collection. And so, I like to share a mug of the day with you. And so, I am sharing today's mug is from the beautiful island of Hawaii. And I am excited to be sharing this mug with you today because there's a story behind it and a story that's coming that I can't wait to share with you. So, how many of you have gone on a summer vacation? Have you already been on a summer vacation? Have you already like planned to go somewhere? And you've been, or maybe there's something you do with your family every year that's like a traditional family gathering you do during the summer. Maybe you plan a bucket list trip for the summer. Maybe you just get in the car and you drive to a state park or you go camping, right? Summer travel adventures. That's what we're talking about today, summer travel. And not only is it fun to travel, but people write about traveling, not just not just in their social media posts. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about magazines and articles that are published about places that we can go. People write books and use locations as settings, right? When a film is made, there's usually a place, there's locations where they go to film, right? To make the story interesting. And so, summer travel. Now, with the pandemic and everything that's been going on and just and prices of things, sometimes people are challenged with not being able to go places where they would like to. So it's fun to read stories about people who are going there because that's how I believe we get inspired to dream about taking trips to places. I don't get upset when I see other people going to places. I love watching them travel. If you don't get to travel outside of your county line or outside of your state at least once a year, then we need to have a talk because exploring and seeing more of the world is so important and adds to our stories, inspires us to share stories, right? And to engage and enjoy the stories of others who are going there and experiencing things because sometimes when we read their stories or watch their content that they share from being at those places, we learn about some things that we might want to go do or see or experience, food that we want to try, right? Um, it all helps. I'm involved in some travel groups, especially some on the Hawaiian Islands, because I love to keep up with what's going on my island home. But also, more importantly, is that when you plan trips to go places, you know, safe places to stay, great restaurants to visit, right? Scenic landmarks that you may not hear talked about, but that others know about. And I love in these groups that I'm in, and there's another one that I'm in called Girls Love Travel. And it's all about single girls who are traveling the world safely, economically, and efficiently because it can be done. So, what are some of your summer travel destinations that you would love to go to? You know, if you had the next week off and you could go somewhere, where would that be? I'm excited because this coming week we are leaving on a family trip. We are going back to Hawaii. I have not been back home in 18 years. 18 years. I talked to my sister. I talked to my cousin yesterday. You know, we have a way of keeping in touch with each other, but I haven't physically been back to the islands in 18 years. So I'm super excited about that because we are going to engage and have some fun stories and create some fun stories. So that's what I wanted to talk about today is the importance of summer travel. Even if you get in your car and you drive an hour from where you live, maybe there's some state parks, maybe there's some places you can go kayaking or canoeing, maybe there's some gardens and farms you can visit, right? A chance to get outside of your story and engaged in another story. So summer travel destinations, summer locations. I love stories that are set at the beach, right? This is the season for great summer beach reads. And so, what better than to be reading a story set in a town when it's summertime and it's fun and footloose because that's what we're feeling during the summer season. And especially as school is approaching. You know that we're still in summer till September 21st. So don't, just because school is starting back doesn't mean the summer's over, right? Kids are gearing up for school. My goodness, some kids are starting, the first or second week of August. So they're going to be back in school while it's still summer. But think about ways that you can celebrate the starting of school. Maybe you take a little trip with your kids before school starts. That's what we're doing is we're taking my daughter um, with us. And so we're doing this, and she starts school 2 weeks after she gets back. So doing this as a family, we've been planning this for a while. And just like any other thing that you do when you're writing a story, is you listen. I've been working on an itinerary of what we're doing, right? And so we're coming up with a plan. We may not stick exactly to this plan. It may not turn out exactly the way that it's written on paper, but we have a plan in place to work around. Same with your writing. If you're going to tell a story, you want to talk about people or characters or places where you've gone and you've visited, you would lay out all that information, where you were with your family, who are your family members, who are you the most excited about hanging out with, maybe their cousins, maybe their aunts and uncles. Maybe you're just taking a trip with a friend, right? And so that friend is a character in your story. And you share all the things you do in the places you go. Notice I'm making lots of notes. I've had to make lots of notes and changes, right? Because some of it's like, are we going to go do this? Well, maybe we can't do that. Well, if we do that, we've got to also factor in time to rest. Time to rest and just explore. So there are some things that we're going to go do and see because we're going to be on the islands. But then there are times and places where we just want to have breathing room, a chance to explore and find out what happens. Well, the same thing happens when you write a story. When you write a story, when I work with authors who are writing their stories, whether they're talking about travel destinations or using the summertime as a setting, usually there's a plan to your story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you have an idea of your story and how it's going to lay out, you'll put those pieces in place. And it's a good thing to have a plan. And that's what your story outline is for. That's why outlining is so important. A lot of writers, they don't want to use a outline. They just start writing, and that's great. But when you have a story outline, when you have a way to mark places in your story where events will change, characters will be introduced, some other characters will not be in the story anymore. Um, Maybe there's been a change in you, and so how you felt going into the story, into the trip, versus how you're feeling on the trip, versus how you feel after the trip, right? So that's all a beginning, a middle, and an end to a story. And it's the same thing, so working on this itinerary for the trip, I have a beginning. We have a beginning, because I'm thorough. Our itinerary is 2 pages. And then there's a third page that has notes that just talks about, you know, this is a blank copy, but what I've put in here are just some things for the kids, my daughter and her boyfriend, for more information, because my daughter has been to Oahu before. She's not been to the Big Island, and her boyfriend has never been to Hawaii at all. But he has a brother stationed in the Army, and he is based on the island of Oahu. So how fun is it that he has a brother on the island that he'll get to visit while we're there? All kinds of fun components to a great story, right? So we have a plan, we have an outline of when we get there, places to eat, things to go see. So we have an idea of where we're going while we're there on our journey, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So right now, we're prepping for the beginning. We're gearing up. We're getting all of our things together. We're packing. We're making sure we have the right clothing, the right shoes. The Big Island is very different from Oahu. The topography, the temperatures, everything, it's different. It's part of the Hawaiian Islands, but it's a different island. And so we have to plan for that. We have to prepare for that. We have to make sure we have all of the resources and things that we need so that when we get there, we have all the things in place that we need to begin our journey, to start the story. And so it's the same thing with writing. You want to make sure you have lots of resources to pull from if you're telling a story about a place, unless you're writing it there in the moment and documenting it with pictures and everything. When you have to come back and write about it, you want to have, or if you're writing, say, a column in a travel magazine and you've been to the location and back, but you want to write more about it and do some research. I've been doing a lot of research while sitting here at home in Dallas, Texas. Because even though I am Hawaiian, ethnically, I haven't been back in 18 years. A lot has changed in 18 years. I've noticed that some of the places that I went to when I was younger, and even when I took my kids when they were younger, things have changed. And I need to keep up with the newest things, the newest places that have come out, because I can't go back into that place expecting it to be the way it was 18 years ago. A lot has changed since then. So it's the same way when we want to write. Things have changed in the publishing industry. You want to stay on top of the latest techniques, the latest updates in style guides for publishing. I work with authors all the time, and I share with them that what I bring to the table is my knowledge in the industry and my experience in editing and working with students, not only high school students and college students, but also just adults who are wanting to improve their writing, to tell their stories. Because when they go on a great summer trip, maybe they want to document that for their family and share that so that at Christmas time you can say, do you remember? And so when I have them, that's why I have my coffee cup collection, because my coffee cups have been a part of a souvenir. I always tell friends, if you're going to get me a gift, you want to get me a gift, get me a Christmas mug, or get me a coffee mug, or get me a Christmas ornament. Coffee mugs and Christmas ornaments, those are things I'm going to use. I use my coffee mugs all the time, but I use my Christmas ornaments every year. And so when I pull those Christmas ornaments out and I put them on my tree, all of the stories that are collected on our Christmas tree, places we've been, people we've met, and it's the same thing with my mugs. So when I pull down any mug, especially my mugs from Hawaii, I can think of all the great memories as a child there, as a teenager, throughout my life when I've been there, going there with my family, and now being able to go there this coming week and make more memories with my family in a place that is so dear to my heart. Hopefully, you have a place like that. Maybe there's a place that you love, and it might be just in your local neighborhood. It might be a place that you love to go to and visit. Maybe it's a lake where you like to go walk with your dog, or jog, or work out. Maybe it's you live in a place where there's some scenic places that are your favorites. A sunflower field. I love fields of wildflowers. I love going to farms where they have all kinds of animals, right? To see life there. Um, Fishing communities, people who live along the lakes, people who live near the beach, people who live in the mountains, people who love to ski, people who love to water ski, people who love to surf. There are all kinds of places, and there's all kinds of journeys out there that we can take. And yours begins every day when you get up, turn on your computer just like I do, and we start a whole new day. It's an opportunity to think about the story that we're living and the stories that we share. I hope you get a chance to get away this summer. And like I said, even though school is starting, and oh, bless our kiddos, oh, they have to start school so early. So I will not be back here live until August 13th. I'm taking a couple of weeks off because we are going to be in Hawaii and we are going to be celebrating and enjoying our time together. If you are following me on Instagram, you'll be able to see those stories take place. I don't really try to post too much on social media about it, but I do like to share in my stories because my family members are there and they get to see what's going on. So hopefully you're following me on Instagram. And if you would like more help telling your story, if you've got a story that's been rattling around in your head, or maybe you've been somewhere on a summer trip and you've taken a trip, let me give you some interesting statistics, because as I was doing some research, here's something interesting that I thought. And just doing this helps you think about either a story you're wanting to write. So at the beginning of the video that plays at the intro of my show, my daughter worked so hard putting these awesome videos together for the intros of my show. But I have little segments called Did You Knows? And the questions that are posed, just research that I did about summer travel. Because with the pandemic and with inflation and the way prices have gone. By the way, I put gas in my car the other day and gas is down in my neighborhood to $3.73. Can I get an amen? Things are going to level out, guys. Things are going to be okay. We go through these bumps all the time. They talk about them on the news as if it's just so catastrophically horrible. Go back to the 2000s, right? Go back to the 70s where they had gas rationing. They had gas rationing. It depended on your license plate numbers as to when you could go to a gas station and get gas. So things have been worse, right? We're just living through a bump. But here are some interesting statistics about travel, even post-pandemic. These are numbers from 2022, right? More than 42% of American adults will travel more this summer than last summer. You know why? Because now that things are opening up after the pandemic and we're like, are we okay? Are we safe? Can we still go? And the Omicron variant, this virus is going to mutate and have several variants. If we do what we're supposed to do to protect ourselves, we can enjoy things like summer travel. The 42% represents over 108 million people. So if you take the total population to 108 million people, this many Americans planning to travel more this summer is a clear indication that we're starting to move beyond COVID. Guys, we're 2 years out. We now have vaccines and medicines that can deal with this. Salute to our medical professionals, our scientists that are working so hard to develop these things to help us fight off these viruses, right? So we can enjoy summer travel. So you make sure you do all your preparation. Remember, I said, do all your preparation on getting ready for a trip. So as I was researching about travel and about different things, I wanted to find out more about what's going on with people, especially with given the pandemic and all the consequences. Did you know that nearly 80% of American adults say they will take some sort of road trip this summer? Now, again, like I said, your trip does not have to involve a plane or a boat. You can just get in your car. In fact, I love to travel in the car. When I go to Nashville now, a lot of times I drive there because one, I have my car while I'm there, so I don't have to rent a car. I still have my house in Tennessee, so I have a place to stay. But more importantly, I love the drive. I have 11 uninterrupted hours and that's when I get a lot of audiobook listening in. When I take a trip to Nashville, more chances are I will read at least one, if not two books while I'm in the car. And it's a great way to get books in if you want to increase your reading. Take a trip. So 80% of American adults say they will take some sort of road trip this summer. Of those people, 18.34% of them, or 47 million Americans, will road trip more than 500 miles from home. How about that? 47 million people are taking road trips. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're getting in the car. Maybe you've got kids that play travel sports and you're getting in the car and driving all over the place to take them to these events, right? Maybe you have pets that are involved in events, competitive events where you're driving to different places, right? Great. I remember, I think I've shared the story with you all before, where Michael and I went to Vail a couple of summers ago, and we went up there just thinking, oh, it'd be nice to get up there and kind of see. Lo and behold, we landed there right in the middle of the weekend, actually right at the beginning of the weekend, where they had something called the GoPro Mountain Games. We had no idea what it was. We just knew there were a lot of dogs around. We thought it was some dog show. No, it was the mountain games, extreme biking, kayaking. They had the dogs there that were doing the distance jumping, right, into water where you see them, they run and they go jump after a toy or whatever it is, diving and also jumping high. These dogs were jumping 8-9 feet up over obstacles. It was incredible. We didn't know. We were just heading up to Vail to enjoy, 3 or 4 days up there just to get away. And lo and behold, we landed in the middle of the mountain games. So we had a fun time learning about that. That was something new we didn't know about. But like I said, you don't have to always take a trip on a plane. It could just be in the car. Did you know? Now, here's an interesting fact that I found out. 1 in 4 travelers will work remotely on their vacation to avoid using up vacation days. And this includes more than a third of millennials. The fact that we can work remotely is a blessing of the last, I would say 5 to 10 years of people being able to work at home. But now the pandemic pushed that even further. And now we have such a large percentage of the population working remotely from home. And I found that fact pretty interesting that 1 in 4 will work remotely while on their vacation to avoid using vacation days. Well, now, I will tell you that sometimes when I've gone out of town, I've had to work while I'm out of town because I was on a deadline. This time, I'm making sure that I finish all my work by this coming Tuesday, because from Wednesday the 28th, Wednesday the 27th till 2 weeks past that, what is that, August the 10th? And really, officially, my business will not be open until August 15th. So I am taking a break, not doing any work. But for most people who are working remotely, 1 in 4 will work remotely to not have to use vacation time. Sounds good to me, right? Because then you want to save that vacation time for a really big trip, like a trip to Hawaii or a trip overseas, or, one bucket list destination that I want to go to. And I don't know why this keeps coming to. I would love to go visit Reykjavik, Iceland. I would love to go to Amsterdam. I would love to go to Santorini, Greece. I would love to take a cruise down the Mediterranean, or I would love to take a cruise down the Danube and visit all the countries there. And then I would also just, I would love to go back down to Austin, see my cousin, hang out there. I'd love to take another trip back to Nashville. I would love to take another trip back to California and see the beaches there. So many great travel destinations, you guys. So many fun places to go and so many fun stories that come from those trips. I see them all the time on social media, right? People are posting and posting and posting about all the trips, the places they go, right? And some people, I'm one of them. You scroll through and you just like them. Just, look at that. Look at those locations, right? It helps you dream. It helps inspire you. More importantly, I hope it inspires you to tell some great stories. I, I'm pretty sure you have some funny, interesting, intriguing, and inspiring stories inside of you that include all kinds of fun places. So you need to share those. You need to share those. It's really important. You're leaving behind a legacy of your life. Start now and write those stories down. Share about some past summer travels you've made. Share about some that you still have going on. Because, like I said, we're still in summer for the month of August. Fall does not start till September 22nd. So we still have an entire month of summer. You're not too late. Think about it. And if nothing else, grab your pets or your pet or a friend, get in the car, and go somewhere fun. Find a place, and go there, and have some fun. Make it a spontaneous trip. Plan it out way in advance. Either way, I hope you can get away this summer somewhere fun, somewhere relaxing, somewhere beautiful, somewhere inspiring, so that it'll help you share your story. Speaking of stories, we have a book club. I have a book club. I would love for you to be part of our book club. We have a blast in our book club. We talk about great stories. We read great stories. Sometimes we have show and tell in our stories. When the stories happen to reveal something that somebody in our group was like, hey, we read the book, The Dictionary of Lost Words. And one of our book club members, she actually had the second edition of the Oxford English Dictionary, which she was able to show us on one of our calls. I love that. I love that. And so we get together twice a month and we discuss our book picks. So for the month of August, really excited about this one. And again, if you're not following Reese's Book Club, I'm not doing this just because of Reese's Book Club, but I have been wanting to read this for a while. It was on my to be read list, and we're reading it for the month of August. But it's called The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Day. This is an interesting story because it has to do with a character. Her name is Hannah Hall, and she's married, and her husband has a 16-year-old daughter from a previous marriage. And then one day, she gets a note from her husband that just says, protect her. Hannah Hall knows exactly to whom the note refers. It's Owen's 16-year-old daughter, Bailey. Bailey lost her mother tragically as a child, and she wants nothing to do with her new stepmother. But Hannah's increasingly desperate calls to Owen go unanswered, and the FBI arrests Owen's boss, and a U.S. Marshal and federal agents arrive at her Sausalito home unannounced. Hannah quickly realizes that her husband wasn't exactly who he said he was, and that Bailey just may hold the key to figuring out Owen's true identity and why he really disappeared. Oh, the last thing he told me, protect her. So, thriller, part mystery. Really excited to read this. And if you would love to join us, I would love to have you, because reading great books, and again, notice the setting. There's a setting, right? This doesn't look like a beach. This looks like a lake or some kind of lakeside community. So where is this, right? Ooh, inspiring stories that use interesting settings. Where is the story taking place? Is that important to the story? You'll have to find out. You'll have to join us. So we love reading great books, because when you read great stories and you see other people being successful at writing their stories and you read their stories, you learn how to write your own stories. Use them as examples and inspiration to tell your stories about a place and about the last thing that someone told you, right? Be inspired by that. So I hope you'll join us. We're excited to read it. The month of August, you can join the book club right here, signing up at vlogcast.com/contact. You can also join the book club, the Page Turners Book Club. And more importantly, if you need help telling your story, you would like to know more about publishing your book, or maybe writing an article, or just learning how to become a better writer. Maybe you're writing papers. Maybe you are in a position at work where you're communicating with a team. Maybe if you're in management, you have to communicate with your team, or you're developing materials for your team. Um, let's talk. I would love to help you strengthen your writing skills so that you can be effective in telling great stories. And more importantly, so that you can share stories about where you go this summer and places that you're visiting and stories that happen in those cool places. So I would love to help you. So you can drop me a note right here on aharden.com/contact. And you can catch all of my replays right here on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ron Harden. If you want to catch me on Instagram, this is the best way to do it. You can follow me here, and you can, let's see, here we go. You can follow me on Instagram at Ron A. Harden. You must have a real account with, real posts. If you're some random, I'm not going to add you if you're a weirdo. Sorry. If you're a bot, if you're any of those accounts. So have an account, be a real person, and be willing to share your story. I would love to know more about yours. So follow me on Instagram, okay? And together, we're going to tell some great stories. Great stories. And I hope you'll share them with me and especially your loved ones. So, again, don't forget, you can, let me put that right back up here on the show. There we go. You can get in contact with me right here at ronaharden.com/contact, where I'm always available to get back with you. You can sign up and have some coffee with me for like 30 minutes. We can talk about your project needs, but more importantly, you can find out more about the book club or anything else. Let me know. I'd love to help. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you enjoy the next couple of weeks as I'm out of town. We'll be back here August the 13th to talk about back to school. Our kiddos are getting ready to start back in school after a lot has gone on this summer. How do we prepare our kids for the best school year that they can possibly have? So we're going to be talking about that a lot during the month of August. We're going to talk about back to school. We're going to talk about some great stories that your children can be reading while they're in school. Some stories that schools require students to read. We're going to talk about libraries and books and how we can get our kids involved in reading and learning about great stories as well. So many great things coming up. I hope you have a great weekend and a great next couple of weeks. Again, get out there, guys. Go somewhere fun, because I hope that when we get back together on August 13th, you'll share your fun summer travel trips and stories with me. All right? Have a great one. Aloha until we meet again next time. I'm so excited. Send up some prayers and good thoughts for us as we travel. I'll be doing the same for you. And I hope you'll join me back here August 13th after a nice summer break. All right? Take care, guys. And I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. All right?